channel. It is Kiera Honey, and today we are going to be talking about therapy, the truth about it. So everybody kind of just be like, oh, therapy this, therapy that, get therapy, it's gonna be all rainbows and sunshines. Let me tell you something. Therapy is so much more than you going up in there, laying your problems down and coming out a new person, okay? Anybody that's been in real therapy will tell you that. First of all, if you are a person alive in this world, go to therapy. At least one session. You never know what you might get. Second thing, make sure that you are honest about everything that you tell your therapist. Don't try to hold back and try to make yourself look like something you're not, because that does not equal true healing, okay? Even if you think it's TMI, tell your therapist. When I first started going to therapy, this was some years ago, honey. Therapists, good ones anyways, have a good way of making you feel like, oh snap, something wrong with me. So if you're somewhere trying to reach out to a therapist for help, make sure that they are getting to the nitty gritty. Make sure they are trying to pull things up from the root, because listen, therapy is not a game. It is not a place where you go and you just cry it out and then you're emptied and you're better. Therapy requires you to do a certain amount of work, so you're going to a professional that will help you understand trauma or anxiety. There's a plethora of things that could be wrong with any given person. However, from extremely mild to extremely severe, you just want to make sure that you are in there talking to someone who knows what they're talking about. Let me try to tell you what therapy has been for me and for other people that I have talked to. You go in there, right, and you're like, hey, therapist, how you doing? My name is Kiera and I got some issues and I want to talk to you about them, and hopefully you can just heal me, you can make me better. And so you sit down and they got their little pen and pad and they're asking you all these questions, because usually on the first visit, that's when they're trying to get everything about, like, what am I dealing with? Who are you? What type of problems do you have? Where have you been? What was your childhood like? What were your relationships like? Where did you work? How did you get treated at work? All of these different things, right? So they're asking you all of these questions, and as you are being asked these questions, your brain starts to remember the situations that you were in and how they made you feel. Me personally, I have been in therapy with a new therapist, and there are things that have been coming up that my brain has suppressed and stuck to the back of my head so that I could function normally. Go to work, take a bath, wash my clothes, eat some food, clean up the house, have friends, do anything like that. The normal things. That is what brains do. They are made to keep us safe at all times, even if that means suppressing memories for years on top of years on top of years, so that we can just be safe and live normal lives. When you go to therapy, you are reaching back to the deep, deep, dark depths of your mind. Problems that you may have had, situations where you may have felt not so safe, trauma, relationships, not even all the bad things, sometimes some good things, but you're reaching back so far that when they start to move up and you start to remember, I remember when that happened to me. I felt like this when that happened to me. I wanted to crawl under a rock when that happened to me. I wanted to die when that happened to me. And you start to remember all of these feelings, and now they're just bubbling up. They're just bubbling up. So this may be over the course of many sessions, depending on who you are and how much trauma you've had. But at some point in time, you will have to face that pain and make peace with it. Meaning, I know that the situation happened to me. I know that it caused me to hurt. I know that it affected how I deal with people. I know that it affects how I sleep. I know that it affects how I have relationships with people. But I'm going to make peace with it and say, I understand, but now I gotta move on. That is very painful. It's very, very painful to do certain activities that your therapist would want you to do, because you have to go back in your brain and dig up those things. This is why some people do not want to go to therapy. This is why some people can't even have difficult conversations, because people are so afraid of who they are. And this was me at one point, fearful that the thing that will come up would be so disastrous and so ugly and just paint you as a monster. Like, how did I go through this and I'm still well kept, but deep down inside, I'm really not. That's just like somebody knocking on my door right now and saying, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and do an inspection of your whole house. You don't have no time to clean up nothing. You don't have no time to hide no letters. You don't have time to hide no items. You don't have time to clean up. You don't have time to get no dust bunnies. You ain't got time for nothing. Let me just go up in here. And people are like, whoa, 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 whoa. You might find some stuff. You might find some stuff that'll scare both you and me. You might find some stuff that will trigger me. You might find some stuff that will have me go off. You might find some things that are so sentimental to me that I don't want to let them go. People do not want to face their problems because that stuff hurts. It hurts so bad. The truth about therapy is that it will be painful. If you really, really, really are seeing your therapist because you need help and you know that you need help. Because what starts to happen is as the years go by, maybe you're triggered by something, or maybe you meet a new person that you want to love or marry, but you haven't addressed the pain in your past, and so now you can't even show up for your spouse the way that you need to, or your kids, or your job. We have to be very, very intentional about getting better for not just ourselves, but for people around us. It's not a good experience having a traumatized or sad parent, or traumatized or sad sibling, or traumatized or sad teacher or manager. There's so many people in the world hurting who are not willing to go to therapy because of the junk that has to come up. But let me tell you something about that junk, baby. That junk shaped who you are. That junk does not define you, but that junk needs to be sifted through. It needs to be uprooted, and then it needs to be burned and given away. Whatever you got to do with it, give it away. You don't need that pain, you don't need that stress, you don't need none of that. But you do gotta get it up, because if you don't, you will bleed on other people, and that's not fun ever. You can't even fully enjoy life knowing that you have all of this baggage. Like I said before, I have struggled with daddy issues, but therapy is letting me know that, hey, how can you really love a man or be a man's wife if you don't even trust men fully yet? And so I've had to deal with that. Like, I've had to journal about this, and I had to cry it out, and I've had to really, really just get deep down and bring that thing up. There's a lot of forgiveness that has to take place in therapy. There's a lot of tears that have to take place in therapy. If you have like anxiety or panic disorder, you may experience that because some things are very, very triggering. Your body starts to react to the things that you are acknowledging or bringing up again. We just got to know the difference that, it's not happening to us again, but we're just trying to understand it. If you do not have a journal, please get a journal and just start journaling about your past and just get it up and go through it if you don't have a therapist to help you with that, because the very last thing that you want to do is ignore your pain. It's trying to tell you something. It wants to help you. It wants to heal you. Yes, it's not a good feeling, but if you ignore it, it'll show up somewhere, somehow. Know that when you go into therapy, prepare yourself to be better, for sure, absolutely. I am learning so much about who I am, and I'm learning so much about other people, because when you understand yourself and your own trauma, you understand why other people are the way that they are. But what you truly want to do is know that there is real deal issues that can change your body, that can change your speech, that can change the way that your skin glows. You have to get all of that stuff up, and I really, really want you to get all of that stuff up, even though it might be a little scary. Like, there's some people that you be like, oh, go to therapy, and they're like, no. That was me. Like, at one point, I was so scared to go to therapy because I knew that the things that I was struggling with would have to come up in the topics of discussion. Tell me about your life and how you got this way. You start to think of all of these things, and then you cry them up. There is no way for you to heal. There is no way for you to fully enjoy life by ignoring things. Respect your emotions, respect the pain, respect these things, because these are the very things that have shaped you and molded you. And these are also the very things that will help you to grow and will help you to help other people. Like, other people need this advice. Every time I learn something, I teach something. That's just who I am. You learn something, you teach it. People be holding on to knowledge and don't even be sharing it. Like, I don't know why people do that, but me, I'm gonna step. So get to therapy. When you go to therapy, have you a journal, because the therapist might want to say some things to you that you want to jot down. Listen, I have me a journal. I've already completed that journal. I have written everything down, and I always go back to it. I look at my progress. I look for evidence that things are getting better for me. I do all of that because it's so important. I know that being in therapy is releasing me. It's releasing the trauma that is in the back of my mind, and it is releasing me to freedom, to healing, to joy, to just living a beautiful and happy life. And I want you to do the same, boo. So get up in therapy. Be prepared. You cannot lose, okay? You cannot and you will not lose when you go ahead and face that thing that's been bothering you, okay? You gotta do it, all right? Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me how your experience in therapy has been. Have you been able to get these things up? What it probably felt like for you and where you are now. I'm interested in knowing, okay? Have a good day.